My mother didn't just forget my stocking that year. She waited until everyone was full of ham and wine, clinked her glass, and said, loud enough for the whole table to hear, "Okay, real family gift exchange in the living room. Everyone else can stay in here." I was the everyone else. It was Christmas. The big one. The first one without my dad officially in the picture. The first one with my stepdad Paul and his daughter Lucy installed like they'd always been there. Ryan, my older brother, the golden child, laughed and stood up, already scooping his girlfriend's hand into his. Lucy bounced up, grabbed her phone, and followed. I sat there with my fork halfway to my mouth. Grandma was at the end of the table, folding her napkin into smaller and smaller squares. Her eyes slid to mine. "Go on," Mom said to the others, waving her wine glass. "We'll start in there. Some people are just visiting." It stung worse because of how casual she made it sound, like I was a neighbor who'd stopped by. I was 24. I'd moved into a tiny apartment after she told me she was downsizing, and somehow that meant my room became Lucy's office and my boxes ended up in the garage. But I was still her daughter. Or I thought I was. "Do you want help with dishes?" I asked Grandma softly when most of them had left the room. She shook her head, eyes still on the mangled napkin. "You shouldn't have to clean up other people's messes forever, Annie," she murmured. I didn't answer. Mom came back in a minute later, grabbing plates with exaggerated annoyance. "If you're going to sulk, Anna, maybe you should have stayed home," she said. "I thought Christmas was for family," I replied. She snorted. "Don't start. You moved out. Ryan and Lucy are here. They're my family. You're doing your own thing." There it was. "You're not really family." She'd said versions of it for years, when I chose art electives instead of business, when I moved out without asking her opinion, when I took the night shift at the coffee shop instead of begging Ryan for a job at his company. That night, she said the quiet part out loud. 2 days after Christmas, my phone rang at 7:12 a.m. Only 2 people call me that early. Wrong numbers and Grandma. "Hey," I croaked, still half under my blanket. "You okay?" "I need a favor," she said. "Come with me to see Mr. Kaplan. He talks too fast, and my hearing's not what it was." "Kaplan the lawyer?" I asked, suddenly more awake. "Yes," she said. "It's time to put things in writing. Your mother's already redecorating me in her head." I hesitated. "You know if she finds out I went with you, she'll be furious," Grandma said. "She'll live. I'd rather have you there. You read things. She never reads anything but people." So I went. Kaplan's office smelled like paper and dust, and the kind of coffee that costs too much. Grandma sat straighter than I'd seen her in months. She wore her good cardigan and the pearls Grandpa had saved up for. "This is my granddaughter, Anna," she told Kaplan. "The one who remembers where the bodies are buried and where the receipts are filed." Kaplan smiled at me. Always good to have a detail person. He went through the basics: small savings, a life insurance policy, the house. When he said the house, Mom's voice echoed in my head. "Ryan and Lucy are here. They're my family. Most people split it evenly between their children," Kaplan said gently, looking at Grandma. "That's the default expectation." Grandma snorted. "Default can take a number," she said. "Angela's had this house as a carrot and a stick her whole life. I'm not giving her another stick." Kaplan glanced at me, then back at her. "And what do you want to do?" Grandma turned to me, took my hand, and squeezed. "You show up," she said. "Even when they pretend not to see you. I want this place to feel safe to at least one person when I'm gone." "Grandma," my throat felt tight. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to," she said. "I want to." She looked back at Kaplan. "Put the house in Anna's name," she said. "The rest you can divide however you think best, so they can't say I didn't love them." I sat there, staring at her, at this small woman in a cardigan who'd just tossed a grenade into the family power structure with a smile. "Are you sure?" Kaplan asked. "I was sure when Angela told my granddaughter she wasn't real family at my table," Grandma replied. "This is me disagreeing." Grandma got sicker fast after that. Hospitals. Machines. Mom writing long, sad captions on Facebook while nurses rolled their eyes because they knew who actually did the work. Ryan came when he could. Lucy was kind. I'll give them that. Mom alternated between martyr and director, telling everyone where to stand, when to cry, what to say. When Grandma died, it was just me and a nurse in the room. I was holding her hand. She left letters, the nurse whispered later. Said you'd know where to find them. I did. Top drawer of her dresser, under the old church bulletins. One was for me. One was for Kaplan. Mine said, if you're reading this, I did what we talked about. Don't let them talk you out of it. Love, E. Kaplan said something more formal, I'm sure. Whatever it said, it got us all invited to his office 2 weeks after the funeral. The conference room was crowded with grief and entitlement. Mom wore black again, though the tag was still visible on the sleeve of her dress. Ryan sat beside her in a suit, hair perfect, jaw set. Lucy perched on the edge of her chair, playing with her necklace. A couple of cousins, an aunt, one of Grandma's church ladies. I almost didn't go in. My hand hovered over the door handle for a long minute. Then I thought about Grandma's hand squeezing mine and walked in. Mom's eyes narrowed when she saw me. Oh, she said. You came? She'd said those exact words at Christmas when I knocked on the door. I was invited, I said. She made a little dismissive noise and turned back to Ryan. Kaplan came in with his file and a box of tissues he set in the center of the table like a centerpiece. Thank you all for coming, he said. Evelyn left very clear instructions. I'm going to read them exactly as written. He started with the small bequests, donations, little inside jokes in the form of objects. To Lucy, he read at one point, who made sure I always had water and my favorite blanket. I leave my blue ring and my recipe for the lemon bars nobody but me can get right. Lucy sniffed and smiled through tears. To Ryan, he said, who has so much of his grandfather's charm, I leave his watch and the records he never listened to but always pretended to like. Ryan chuckled weakly. Mom sat up straighter, waiting. And to my daughter, Angela, Kaplan read, who has my stubbornness and my talent for turning a broom closet into a palace, I leave the china you always wanted and this. Please stop trying to control everything. It will kill you faster than my lungs did. A few people laughed in spite of themselves. Mom's smile froze. And now, Kaplan said, turning a page, the house and residual assets. You could have cut the air. Evelyn writes, he continued. Everyone assumes this house will go to Angela, because that's how she's told the story. But stories and deeds are not the same thing. He glanced up to see if anyone wanted to interrupt. Mom did. Obviously the house stays with us, she said, voice tight. We've already. Angela, Kaplan said politely, I need to finish reading. He went on. The house at 41 Oak is to pass in full to Anna. She is the only one who has never threatened to move out as punishment, who has never used this address as a bargaining chip, and who has sat with me at 3 a.m. without posting about it online. She has always been told she is not real family. Let the deed disagree. It was quiet enough to hear the air conditioner kick on. Mom stared at him, then at me, like she'd misheard.
No, she said. No.
That's ridiculous. She's not even. She doesn't have kids. She doesn't need. She cut herself off before she said it. Not real family. Not my kids. Again. Ryan blinked. So, what about the rest? He asked, because of course he did. Money? Accounts? Kaplan cleared his throat. After debts, he said, what's left is placed into 2 small trusts, one for Lucy's education if she chooses, and one earmarked for, quote, whoever Angela punishes the most for this. I suspect Evelyn knew you all well. There was a strangled sound from Mom's throat. She turned on me. You went with her to the lawyer, didn't you? She hissed. You put her up to this. You've been filling her head. I held her purse and read the small print. I said. She knew exactly what she was doing. My hands were shaking under the table, but my voice sounded weirdly calm. You told me I wasn't family, I added. She disagreed.
I didn't write that.
Lucy spoke up, voice small but clear.
Aunt Angela, she said.
Grandma told me months ago she was changing things. She said you'd be mad. Mom whipped toward her. You knew. So did I. Grandma's church lady chimed in. She was very proud of herself. Said, wait till they see who gets the front door. Even Kaplan smiled at that. Mom looked around the table and saw no one on her side but Ryan, who was too busy calculating numbers in his head to speak. She grabbed her purse and stood. I'm contesting this, she snapped. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. You're welcome to try, Kaplan said gently. But it's airtight. She signed it months before she declined. Full capacity, multiple witnesses. Mom glared at me like he'd said my name. You did this, she said. You've been trying to steal my family from me for years. I opened my mouth, closed it, realized there was nothing I could say she'd ever hear. So I didn't say anything at all. She stormed out. Ryan followed, eyes on his phone. Lucy lingered. She squeezed my shoulder as she passed. I'm glad she saw you, she said quietly, even if it kills her. Moving and felt wrong, and right at the same time. Wrong because every wall held a ghost. Dad's laugh, Grandma's humming, Mom's footsteps at 6 a.m. on school days. Right because for the first time, nobody could tell me I was just visiting. Her car was gone from the driveway, but her heavy curtain rods were still on the windows, her leftover spices still in the cabinet. She left the ugly floral couch and the cheap TV stand. She took every photo of me that had been on the walls. Grandma's letter was still in my bag. I taped it to the inside of the pantry door, where only I could see it. Don't let them talk you out of it. The first night, I sat on the living room floor with takeout and no furniture and listened to the house settle. I expected to feel guilty. Instead, I felt tired. And then slowly safe. Mom had always used family like a weapon, as something she could give and take away depending on how well we played along. Grandma used it like an anchor. When Mom told me I wasn't real family, she thought that meant the story was over. All it really meant was she wasn't the one holding the pen anymore. If you're still here, you're my kind of person. If anyone's ever told you you're not really family, or acted like you were just a guest in your own life, I hope this one hit you in the right place. Tell me in the comments what you would have done. Walked away, or kept the house. Hit like if Grandma was the real mastermind here, and subscribe to Revenge Stories with Maya so you don't miss the next time a not real family kid gets the last word. And please, help us reach 45K people on YouTube who love these long, messy, satisfying revenge stories as much as you do.